Oh no, Ashley. We were on a company retreat at a spa resort today. I left the banquet where my colleagues were having a good time, humming to myself and thinking of enjoying a quiet moment in the spa alone. I found someone collapsed in front of the changing rooms. Rushing over, I realized it was my boss, Ashley. Ashley, are you okay? I called out to her, but she didn't respond well. As I lifted her up, I noticed her face was extremely red up close. It seemed she had fainted from staying in the bath too long. Ick. Hearing a murmur from her lips made me snap to attention. I hadn't noticed in my rush to help, but Ashley's bathrobe had come undone slightly, and her chest and thighs were revealed almost a little too much. Just then, I heard the voices of several men coming from the direction of the men's bath. I couldn't leave her like this. With that in mind, I carried her back to my room nearby. Wait, did you take a peek at me? How dare you? When she woke up, she misunderstood my intentions and lashed out at me. But this incident led me to discover her true nature. My name's Michael. I work in sales for a company that mostly does wholesale, dealing mainly with groceries. I've always enjoyed talking with people and observing others. My friendly nature has served me well in sales, allowing me to be the top performer for about a year now. Of course, selling goods is my job, but I also thrive in the environment where I get to visit various companies and stores to talk with different people. Even after 3 years, I still feel the joy that I have felt since my first days here. Though there are days when I feel down due to failures in the midst of busy schedules, I'm blessed with a trustworthy boss and reliable colleagues. Thanks to them, things are going really well at work. I may be one of the few people who actually look forward to going to work every day. Sure, enjoying my job is a big part of it, but there's another big reason. It's also thanks to my boss, Ashley. She looks beautiful and sophisticated with her glasses, giving people the impression that she's highly competent at her job. It's true that Ashley has numerous achievements and was promoted to supervisor at a young age in her 20s. She isn't easy on herself or others, and she has a pretty strict work ethic, making her disliked by some colleagues. Ashley never breaks her cool demeanor at work, earning both admiration and jest as a perfect person from those around her. But when I was a newbie, I saw Ashley's dedication to her work and the way she showed sincerity to her clients, and I harbored a strong desire to be like her. I've been following her with my eyes ever since, though I'm sure she hasn't noticed. In the midst of observing her every day, I've discovered new things about her, like finding a pen with a cute bear charm on her desk, or a shopping list stuck to her computer that read today's menu, revealing a cute side of her in contrast to her usual coolness. I couldn't help but grin to myself. Of course, I can't let Ashley catch me in such moments. At first, it was purely admiration, but over time, my feelings have gradually shifted, and now I find myself strongly attracted to her as a woman. Of course, Ashley is probably unaware of these feelings, and I sometimes think that someone with a silly baby face like me wouldn't stand a chance with her anyway. But that's okay. Even if our relationship was purely professional as a boss and a subordinate, being together was good enough for me. Lately, however, there's been a troubling development. Half a year ago, the president's son, James, was transferred to our sales department and took up the position of section manager, completely changing the comfortable atmosphere we had before. James displayed lots of arrogant behavior. While pushing overtime onto others, he would also force younger employees to join him for drinking and clubbing. If anyone dared to confront him, he'd threaten without hesitation. Those who can't work will be demoted. He would also pick out female employees he liked and declare, "I'll make her my secretary," trying to keep them by his side. The company president, Harris, his father, has significantly grown the company with his excellent management skills and is known for his good demeanor. But it seems he had a soft spot for his son and had not been scolding him a lot. James took advantage of his father turning a blind eye on his actions, making his behavior get even worse. Our department was constantly on edge, trying to work while being fearful of his mood swings. As much as I had my own opinions about James, like everyone else, I found myself unable to voice them and just silently went about my work. And James, being the section manager, had Ashley working directly under him, so he would often call her to his desk and assign her tasks. At first, it wasn't so bad, But after being called over multiple times by James, Ashley's expressions have gradually become gloomy, and that made me worry for her. Considering what James was like, he could have been hurling baseless accusations and verbal abuse at Ashley too. Even though I wanted to do something about it, my cowardice kept me from taking action, and time passed by. Then, one day, I spotted a familiar figure down the hallway. It was Ashley. I thought she had come back from her rounds, so I was going to say hi when I noticed that she looked like she was about to faint. Careful! I instinctively rushed to catch her. She had always been slender, but I remember thinking how light she felt as I caught her. "Ashley, are you okay?" When I spoke to her, Ashley looked up at me with a pale face. I was about to express more concern due to her unhealthy complexion when, upon seeing my face, she screamed, "Don't touch me!" and pushed me away with such force that I stumbled backward. Standing there dazed, Ashley's expression suddenly changed to one of alarm, and she apologized. "I'm sorry." Then she ran off. Watching her retreating back, I reflected on the incident. Indeed, even if it was a spur-of-the-moment action, touching a woman so carelessly was something I regret. But the intensity of her reaction seemed to suggest it wasn't just that. The strength she exerted to make me, a man, stumble. The fear mixed in her scream and facial expression. It was a clear rejection, and even I could see that. I felt deeply dejected, thinking Ashley hated me, as I stared down the now empty hallway. Since then, I made sure not to carelessly approach Ashley. I didn't want to frighten her again, and more than anything, I felt like I couldn't get over it if she rejected me once more. As I spent my days feeling down and scared of James's behavior, one by one, people started quitting. James became surrounded by people who would approve of anything he would say. By then, no one in our department would dare confront James to his face, and everyone was saying, "I want to quit." I felt Ashley's expressions turning more miserable by the day. It was around that time I noticed Ashley's desk becoming unusually immaculate. The cute pens and sticky notes were nowhere to be found, and it made me wonder if Ashley was also considering leaving. I thought about all the people who had left, and Ashley's face mixed in with them too. I felt a deep sense of loneliness looking around the increasingly empty department. After a month of this, the company president Harris directly ordered a morale-boosting party for the sales department. Furthermore, based on a suggestion from James, the destination was a spa resort, and there was a ridiculous rule that all unmarried female employees must attend. It was said to be out of consideration for married employees who might have various family circumstances, but everyone understood the ulterior motives behind it without needing to say it out loud. In our department, there were only 2 unmarried women, Ashley and another woman named Ms. Morgan. Since Ms. Morgan was currently on caregiving leave due to family circumstances, that left Ashley the only one mandated to attend. I couldn't forget the contrast between James's smug face when talking about the party and Ashley's gloomy expression. During the trip, everyone had to play nice with James, making us question what morale boosting really meant. Exhausted from tourism and dreading the banquet, everyone but James seemed worn out. Besides James and his cronies, who were getting excited over something, a few of us that didn't like James hatched a plan. Let's get James really wasted so that we can have some peace and quiet until morning. That was the plan. We exchanged glances and nodded, taking our positions. As the banquet started, James, in high spirits, began pestering Ashley. Ashley dodged his advances with composure, but he was persistent, so I offered him a drink to distract him. "Hey, James, this drink is a local specialty. Here, have some." I plastered on my best sales smile as the waitress added, "This wine was once presented to the lords who ruled this land." Pouring the local wine into James's glass, the fragrant aroma wafted through the air, inviting James to take a sip. "This is good. You've brought some decent booze for once." "Thank you." I plastered on a sales smile as I refilled his empty wine glass. Then a colleague chimed in, "Here's some snacks that go well with the wine," encouraging James to drink more. As we kept pushing drinks into James's face, he got drunk and started boasting. "I'm gonna be the next company president, you know." He was having the time of his life with his cronies. Having been forced to drink with James for the past 6 months, we knew he wasn't great with alcohol and would quickly fall asleep once he got drunk. Just as we had planned, Before long, James was snoring loudly on the sofa of the ballroom. My colleagues and I shared a silent grin of success. Even his cronies seemed relieved. It seems even the obedient people James gathered around him didn't actually like him. I felt a little sorry for him when I saw him asleep without a care in the world, but there was no room for sympathy for his behavior, so we decided to let him be and enjoy the banquet. For the first time in a while, I was having a great time with my colleagues, but then I noticed that Ashley was nowhere to be seen. Maybe she's taking a rest in her room now that she's free from James. I hoped that, at least for a little while, Ashley could find some peace during this trip. Her expression had been so gloomy when this morale-boosting trip was announced. Remembering that moment made my heart feel as heavy as lead. Hoping to get refreshed, I told my colleagues, who were drinking and making merry, that I was gonna head to the baths and got up from my seat. Thanks to James, the foreign on everyone's side, being passed out drunk, everyone was too busy enjoying themselves to pay attention to my departure. We were told by the hotel manager upon arrival that this resort boasted a luxurious bath spa. Since I'm not much of a drinker, I didn't drink much at the banquet and decided to enjoy the spa to the fullest. Heading towards the changing rooms with a light step, that's when it happened. Someone was collapsed in front of the entrance to the changing rooms. "Are you okay?" I rushed over in a panic and lifted the person up. I finally realized it was Ashley. She looked different without her glasses and in her bathrobe, which is why I hadn't recognized her right away. When I picked her up, her body was hot to the touch, and her face peeking from in between her hair was red and hot. "Ashley." "Ick." She responded to my call, bringing me a sigh of relief. She must have gotten dizzy from the heat. Ashley, weakly leaning on me, seemed so vulnerable. Despite knowing it was wrong, unwelcome thoughts began to circle in my head. I shook my head as if to cast away such inappropriate thoughts. What am I thinking? Taking advantage of a woman when she's weakened. Ashley stirred and nestled her face into my chest. This sweet scent that wafted up as she moved made my heart race and my head spin. That's when I heard something. Nothing beats a cold drink after a hot bath. "Jimmy, you're always drinking, aren't you?" Voices from a group of men came from the direction of the men's bath. Snapped back to reality by their voices, I hurriedly checked Ashley's appearance. Whether it was from collapsing or carelessly dressing in her dazed state, her bathrobe was disheveled, exposing her chest and thighs dangerously close to revealing too much. Thinking I couldn't let anyone else see Ashley like this, I muttered an apology and, with trembling hands careful not to touch her flesh more than necessary, managed to fix her bathrobe and picked up her glasses that had fallen nearby. Then, I carried her on my back and left. After bringing her to my room, I laid Ashley down on the bed, applied a cold water bottle from the fridge and damp towels to her face and legs, and took care of her. About 30 minutes had passed, and the redness in Ashley's face faded, and her face relaxed. I was relieved inside when her eyes suddenly snapped open. She seemed still dazed, blinking slowly as she looked up at the ceiling. "Ashley, how are you feeling?" I asked tentatively, and Ashley stared at me. It was only for a few seconds, but as she continued to gaze into my face, her dazed expression gradually became alert, and then she screamed, "Eek!" "Whoa, Ashley, calm down." I tried to speak, but she cut me off in a panic, bombarding me with questions. Why am I in this room when I was supposed to be in the bath? Did you bring me here, Michael? Did you see me undressed? No, I didn't. So you did. How dare you? I'm so disappointed in you, Michael. Despite my attempts to deny it, somehow I ended up being grossly misunderstood. Being accused of doing such a thing by someone I cared about was tough, to say the least. I tried desperately to explain the situation and clear up the misunderstanding, but Ashley was already picking up a pillow nearby, intending to throw it at me. "It's not what you think. Please, just listen to me." Desperate to make her listen, I inadvertently raised my voice. Startled by my tone, Ashley suddenly stopped moving. Seizing the opportunity, I hurriedly began my explanation to set the record straight. "First off, please let me say this. I haven't done anything inappropriate towards you. I fixed your bathrobe because it was disheveled, but I made sure not to touch your flesh. If you're still uncomfortable, I apologize. I'm sorry." After my apology, I explained everything that had happened since finding her in front of the changing room while she remained silent. She looked at the nearby water bottle and wet towel. Then her face turned apologetic. Michael, you were helping me, and I just misunderstood and panicked. I'm sorry. No, it was my fault too. From a woman's point of view, it's understandable to be wary of what men could do to you. I should have been more considerate. I nodded. No, it's my bad. It's embarrassing for someone my age to get dizzy from the heat. Ashley said that with a sheepish smile. Maybe it was because she didn't have her glasses on and was in a bathrobe, but the atmosphere felt different from when we were at work, and her smile made my heart skip a beat. By the way, Ashley, are you feeling better now? Yes, thanks to you, Michael. Thank you. I'm glad. When I saw you collapsed, I thought my heart would stop. Were you really that worried about me? Autumn. Yes. You need to stay hydrated, right? I'll get you a drink. Feeling the nerves and excitement from being alone with Ashley, I felt my emotions slipping through my words. I used getting a drink for her as an excuse to momentarily leave and regain my composure. Returning with a water bottle for Ashley and handing it to her, she gave me a thankful smile. Caught up in her smile, I noticed her cheeks were still faintly red. Ashley, are you still feeling hot? Why do you ask? Well, your ears and cheeks are still a bit red. Oh, I'll crack the window open a bit. Oh, this is... I didn't catch her words over the sound of opening the window, but a cool breeze began to flow into the room. Please let me know if you start feeling cold. It's not good to cool down too much. Thank you. I said to Ashley and sat down a bit further away from her. Ashley was looking at me intently. Ashley, is something wrong? No, it's nothing. Thank you very much, Michael. Hearing her thank me again made me think how disciplined she was, as we exchanged small talk until we both fell silent, running out of things to talk about. I couldn't think of anything smart to say, and Ashley, still not fully recovered, was looking down at the water bottle she was holding. Just as I was wondering what to do amidst the silence, there was a knock on the door, and a cheerful voice called out, "Hey, Michael, you back from the bath? The party's over, but I'm not done drinking yet. Let's have a round in my room." It seemed my colleagues had come to invite me. Given the awkward atmosphere, their invitation was a welcome distraction. I'll go and drink with everyone, so please head back to your room when you feel like it. You can leave everything as it is here. Just take it easy and don't rush. Wait. Careful. As Ashley tried to stand up to stop me, she seemed to get dizzy and started to fall forward. I caught her, and as she fell into my chest and looked up, our eyes met. The unexpected closeness startled me, but I caught my breath when I saw that she was slightly teary-eyed. Please, don't go. Ashley let out a feeble voice, looking down. Noticing her shoulders tremble slightly, I couldn't help but tighten my grip around her to offer support. Michael, I heard some noise. Are you okay? A concerned voice from a colleague came through the door. It's all good. Just stumbled a bit and almost fell. Seems I'm more tired than I thought, so I'm gonna get some rest. While supporting Ashley, I replied, declining my colleague's invitation. Are you sure you're okay? Well, we did have a long day, and it's been mentally exhausting too. Take it easy and rest up. See you tomorrow. Then, I could hear the footsteps walking away. Once the sounds were completely gone, I spoke to Ashley. Are you okay? Let's sit down for now. Please watch your step. Supporting Ashley, whose legs seemed unsteady, as if lacking strength, I helped her sit down on the sofa. Ashley's face seemed a bit pale. Michael, I'm sorry for making you stay here. Seeing how different she was from her usually cool demeanor at work, I hesitated as I spoke. Did something happen? Does it have something to do with you looking down lately? At my words, Ashley suddenly looked up. Her expression changed from surprise to one that seemed on the verge of tears. Michael, you noticed. Someone has been following me. What? You mean? It seems like I'm being stalked. Oh, no. Ashley began to speak slowly. For about half a year, I've had a feeling that someone was following me. Even the stationery that was on my desk had gone missing. It was a gift from my sister, and I treasured it, but now it's nowhere to be found. Half a year, huh? At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but the feeling of unease grew stronger. Yet, I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I was stunned by Ashley's words. Though I didn't know any victims personally, I've heard stories like that on the news and TV shows. Being followed in the dark, someone breaking into your home, and in the worst cases, even the possibility of death. Hearing what had really been going on scared even me, although I, as a man, had more strength than a woman. But it was heartbreaking to think that she had endured it alone for half a year. Have you talked to the police? I don't have any solid proof yet, so I haven't been able to go to them yet. It might just be a misunderstanding. I'm so sorry. I didn't notice anything. Michael, Ashley, you've done so much for me since I joined this company, and yet, I couldn't even notice what you have been going through. I clenched my fists in frustration. Despite my close observation, my inability to notice the subtle changes, and my anger towards the person causing Ashley's pain mixed, stirring intense emotions inside of me, is not something you should apologize for. Besides, when I'm working hard with you and everyone on our team, I can forget about these unpleasant things, she said with a smile. Ashley's kindness, who said such words out of concern for me even though she was probably the one suffering the most, would normally have made me happy. But now my chest was filled with bitterness. I've always loved spas, so I was looking forward to this trip a little. I thought I might be able to forget about the stalker during this trip. After saying that, Ashley chuckled as if remembering something fondly. Even when I went to spa resorts on holidays with my family, I never got to relax because I have a little sister to take care of and watch over. You have a sister? Yes. Oh, I guess I never mentioned it. Besides my sister, I also have a brother, but they are bother considerably younger than me, and they are a handful for the whole family. They're adorable, though, Ashley said with a smile, a gentle and warm expression on her face, clearly showing how much she treasures her family. I guess I ended up staying in the bath too long without realizing it. It's funny how I stayed until I got dizzy. Oh, but I ended up being a nuisance to you because of it. I'm really sorry. Not at all. I don't mind it one bit. In fact, I was happy to see Ashley smile and to have this conversation, thanks to this incident. Of course, I'm worried about the stalker, but understanding the reason behind Ashley's gloomy expression also brought me some relief. Michael, thank you so much for today. And I'm sorry for being rude before. You were just trying to help me, but I overreacted. Ashley's words made me remember something that had happened a few months ago. I thought she hated me and felt dejected, but now I understand that being a man, my physical contact must have been frightening for her, given that she was dealing with a stalker. The strong tone of rejection that she threw at me was understandable now that I heard what she was going through. Don't worry about it. I'm just glad you weren't hurt, both that day and today. I wanted to offer Ashley some comfort, so I responded with a smile. While looking at my face, Ashley murmured softly, "You're nothing like the stalker. After all, you're so nice to me." Ashley's eyes shimmered with tears. Seeing that, I felt an urge to hug her, but I desperately resisted. Knowing that Ashley was frightened of men, I couldn't let my actions scare her any further. I clenched my fist tightly and calmed myself down when suddenly, my eyes caught the clock hanging in the room. It was past 10 p.m. I'm sorry. It's gotten quite late. You should probably head back to your room to rest. If you'd like, I can walk you there, I said, attempting to stand up. However, Ashley didn't make any move to get up. Ashley, I know it's a weird thing to ask, but can I stay here tonight? Wha? I froze, halfway on my feet, at her unexpected words. Looking up at me with puppy eyes, she asked again, "Is that not okay with you?" Her adorable gesture made my heart skip a beat. No, it's not that it's not okay, but inside my head, one part of me was throwing my hands up in joy, while another was shaking his head, saying this probably wasn't a good idea. Amidst the loud thumping of my heart, excited at the thought of being able to stay with Ashley, I awkwardly set up an extra bed on the sofa. I could do this without any confusion in a normal state of mind, but my head and heart were about to go flat, so I took the trouble to prepare the extra bed away from my own. Please let me know if you want me to move it further away. And I won't do anything weird, I swear to God. If it makes you feel better, you can even tie up my hands and feet. I said this without being able to look at Ashley in the face, then heard a soft laugh. Looking up, I saw her laughing out loud. I'm sorry, you were just hilarious. It's okay. I trust you, Michael. Thank you. Ashley's words helped me push any ulterior motives I had deep down. After making sure Ashley got into her bed first, I turned off the room's lights. Good night. Yes. Good night, Michael. In the darkness, listening to Ashley's breathing made my heart race, and I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to push out any inappropriate thoughts. Don't think about anything. Just fall asleep, quickly. Trying not to focus only heightened my senses. I started wondering if counting sheep in my head would make me fall asleep. Just then, the blanket was pulled back, and I felt someone's presence behind me. Then, the hand that hesitantly touched my back was trembling slightly. After thinking it over for a bit, I slowly turned over, and in the darkness, I could see Ashley's anxious face. Would it be all right if I got closer? Just to be sure, I asked for permission. Ashley nodded slightly. After getting her approval, I wrapped my arm around her back, and just before making physical contact, I said, "Excuse me," and then gently stroked her back. When I was little, if I had a nightmare and couldn't sleep, I'd crawl into my grandma's bed, and she'd do this to my back. "Oh, your grandmother. It sounds like you had your adorable moments." "Well, thank you. I feel somewhat safe when I'm with you, Michael." I was taken aback by Ashley's words. "Isn't this going rather well?" And Ashley's words, they almost sound like, "Oh, is that so? Me too. It reminds me of my childhood. Max, the dog we had back home, used to sneak into my bed. We often slept together." "Max, right." Ashley laughed merrily as she said so. "I guess I remind her of her pet dog." I couldn't help but feel a little cast aside from being seen as a romantic interest. But right now, it's more important that Ashley feels at ease, I reminded myself. As I continued to stroke her back, I could hear Ashley's calm breathing. "I'm glad. Good night, Ashley." Of course, there was no reply. I kept gently stroking her back even after confirming she had fallen into a deep sleep. In the morning, the sunlight coming through the window and the chirping of birds let me know it was dawn. When I opened my eyes in the same position I was in yesterday, Ashley's beautiful sleeping face was right in front of me. Honestly, I wasn't composed enough to fall asleep with such a posture and a sleeping face so close. I couldn't sleep because my heart kept racing. Being sleep-deprived is tough, but as I gazed at Ashley's face sleeping peacefully, I felt a strong urge to protect this person. I only have average physical strength, but I wanted to do anything I could for her. As I was thinking this, watching Ashley's sleeping face, her eyes opened. While looking into her still and focused eyes, I greeted her good morning. "Good morning, Ashley." Good morning." She responded groggily to my greeting, but then her eyes snapped open in the next moment, and she sat up with a start. "Michael, about last night, I'm really sorry for everything." "No, it's all right. More importantly, did you sleep well?" Ashley's face turned red all the way to her ears. Yes. I slept really well." As she stumbled over her words and put on her glasses, talking to me, her subordinate, in a businesslike tone, I couldn't help but smile. I told her about what I had just made up my mind to do. "Ashley, please don't shoulder it all on your own anymore. I'll do anything I can to help. So please, rely on me." Ashley looked up at my words. Tears were brimming in her eyes. "Thank you, Michael." Ashley said that, wiped her tears, and showed a smile. "Shall I walk you to your room? I'm worried after last night. It would be too much to ask for, and I've had enough rest, so I'm fine." Saying that, she stood up gracefully. I stood up as well. "I'm glad I could talk to you, Michael. I feel bad asking this to a subordinate, but I'd be happy if I could talk with you about this again. Thank you so much. See you later." Ashley left the room, waving goodbye with a smile. As I listened to the door closing, I reminisced about the dreamlike moments of last night and stood there for a while. I was in a daze for a bit, but I was brought back to reality by the chirping of birds outside the window. I thought about going for a walk outside and started getting ready. That's when I thought I heard a voice from afar. The moment I heard the voice, I felt a stirring in my chest and ran out of the room at full speed toward the voice. "Please, stop." Around the corner of the corridor a little ahead, I saw two people arguing. "Oh, come on, it's just a bit. Let me go." My bad feeling turned out to be right. It was James and Ashley. James was grabbing Ashley's arm, who clearly didn't like it. Even though Ashley's tone was strong, her face was pale. "Let go of Ashley," I yelled as I shook off James's arm, clutching Ashley. Perhaps because he was surprised by my sudden appearance, James's hand fell away from Ashley with ease. Michael. A weak voice escaped from Ashley, whom I shielded behind me. Anger ran through my body when I heard her voice. Michael. What are you doing here? James, what are you doing? It's despicable to force yourself on a woman who clearly doesn't want it. I've been angered by his actions before, but never have I wanted to punch him as much as I did today. What? You think you're her knight in shining armor? Don't make me laugh. I'm the president's son, you know. I faced James, who was mocking me, as I heard Ashley's voice from behind my back. This was the person who's been stalking me. After saying that, she stretched her hand in front of me. In her trembling hand was a pen with a bear charm, the one on Ashley's desk. I looked back and forth between the pen and James's face. Then, James smiled smugly. It was all James. Stealing my personal items from my desk, following me on my way home, everything. Hearing those words, my head felt like it was about to explode. So, he was the one tormenting Ashley. I glared sharply at James and condemned him. Being the company president's son doesn't give you the right to commit crimes. Do you have any idea how much suffering you've caused Ashley? But James just smirks, unapologetically. What's wrong with me managing Ashley's belongings and activities? Besides, I asked for my father's help and planned a trip to bring Ashley out of her shell, you know. I glared at James, who was blabbing and boasting about how his stalking behavior was with Ashley's best interests at heart. That's all in your head, James. Ashley is clearly terrified of your actions. Please stop stalking her immediately. What? Stalking? What are you talking about? Everything I've done has been to prove my love for Ashley. Right. You do accept my feelings, don't you? James spoke to Ashley with a delusional expression. In response, Ashley stepped beside me. I looked at her in surprise. Her hands clenched in front of her chest were trembling, but she nodded at me with determination in her eyes. I have never had special feelings for you, James. Your actions have been nothing but a nuisance. Please do not do it again. If you continue, I will take appropriate action. She must have been terrified of the culprit in front of her, but her firm attitude when saying those words was the usual dignified Ashley. Her affirmation made James's face turn bright red as he finally realized his misunderstanding. Don't you dare mess with me. You're making me a fool out of me. You know what happens when you go against the company president's son. I'll have you both fired. It was a line I had heard too many times. Whenever something displeased him, he would make threats with demotion or dismissal. I was fed up of that. That's fine by me. Michael, what are you saying? It's okay, Ashley. If we continue to work under someone like him, I'll end up hating the job I loved so much. It's thanks to you that I grew to love it. Michael. Ashley looked surprised at my words, and I smiled at her. She seemed like she wanted to say something more, but James cut in with a triumphant look. You said it. You can't take it back now. It's too late for regrets. I have no regrets. It feels liberating to think that I won't have to see your face anymore. Ach. Well, fine. Put on a brave front all you want. Losing someone like you won't hurt our company at all. Satisfied that he had my resignation in the bag, James forgot all about his advances towards Ashley and left the scene with a loud laugh. I watched his back as he walked away with a haughty attitude and let out a small sigh. Michael, are you serious about what you said earlier? Ashley stood beside me, her voice trembling. When I looked at her face, the dignified expression on her face was gone, and her eyes were shaking with sadness. It's not too late. I can talk to James and have him cancel your resignation. Ashley, it's okay. I put my hand on her shoulder as if to stop her from running off. When our eyes met, a single tear fell from her eyes. You're leaving because of me. I can't believe this. As she spoke, Ashley started crying. Despite my initial hesitation, I gently embraced her. It's not your fault, Ashley. I was the one that made the decision. I couldn't forgive James for his actions. As Ashley cried into my chest, I shared the feelings I had kept hidden until now. I've always loved you, Ashley. I couldn't stand seeing you in pain. I would have regretted it more if I had stayed silent about James's despicable actions. I'm glad I could protect you like this. Hearing my words, Ashley slowly lifted her face. Her teary eyes met mine. Michael, until now, I saw you as a cute subordinate. But after spending last night together, when you said I could rely on you, I realized my feelings for you. I feel comfortable when I'm around, and I don't have to pretend to be someone I'm not. It was a big relief. Ashley rested her cheek against my chest. I love you too, Michael. Her words resonated throughout my body and heart. My heart began to thump loudly at Ashley's confession. I can hear your heartbeat very well. Hua. When I'm with you, I feel motivated to work even harder. So, could you please stay by my side? Ashley blushed and wore a girlish smile. It was the most beautiful smile I had ever seen from her. The day after we returned from the trip, I was holding my resignation letter as I headed towards James's desk. Seeing me, James smirked. Oh, Michael, needs something. As I said yesterday, I'm leaving the company. I placed the envelope I was holding on the desk, and James laughed loudly, just like yesterday. A resignation letter, huh? Just don't come crying to me when you're struggling to make ends meet, okay? Who's going to be crying to whom? Huh? What are you talking about? That's obviously going to be you. James glared at me with furrowed brows, perhaps annoyed at my lack of change in my facial expression. Then, in the next moment, James, I'm quitting too. I will also be resigning. Such voices began to rise one after another from behind me. While James was still confused and trying to comprehend the situation, envelopes containing resignation letters were being placed on his desk one after another. And finally, a resignation letter written in neat, beautiful handwriting was placed. I will also be resigning. Ashley was the one who placed it. And behind us, more than half of our department staff were lined up. Everyone here, just like I, had submitted their resignation letters. James, who had been stunned by the sudden turn of events, snapped back to reality and turned pale at the sight of the numerous resignation letters. You seemed concerned about my future, but rest assured, I've decided to leave this company and start a new one. Together with everyone here. Everyone nodded at my words. Looking beside me, I saw Ashley smiling. After declaring my resignation to James yesterday, I discussed with Ashley, and we decided to leave the company together and start a new one. I didn't think that my resignation alone would stop him from stalking her, so I advised her to resign too for her own safety. At first, Ashley was hesitant to resign. I had heard she had a younger sister, but actually, Ashley is the eldest of 5 siblings. She's supporting her family alongside her father, in place of her frail mother. That's why, no matter how hard it was, quitting my job was not an option. When I heard what had happened, I felt my chest tighten with pain. I almost cried thinking that she was fighting the fear of being stalked by James for the sake of her family by suppressing her feelings. I firmly held Ashley's hand and said, "You don't have to endure it anymore. I'm here for you." Ashley smiled as if relieved by my words. Seeing that smile made me vow to myself to protect her at all costs. Having thus made up our minds to quit the company, we went around the room to explain the situation to our colleagues who had been with the company since before James's transfer. Most of them expressed their desire to work with us, leading to today's mass resignation. Leaving a stunned James behind, we headed to the company president's office. We decided to urge James's father and company president, Harris, to thoroughly investigate James's past behavior, stalking Ashley, and anything else he did, and take disciplinary action. Though surprised by our sudden visit, he listened attentively to our words. After hearing us out, he made a deep apology. His face was pale, and he seemed to have aged in just the short time we spoke. It must have been shocking to hear. And then, he promised to conduct an investigation into James's actions, including punishment for James and himself. Later on, we started our own company and went about our business. Days flew by as we actively exchanged ideas and grew the company based on decisions we all made together. Feeling a different kind of fulfillment, I realized once again, I really love this job. That was when we received a single phone call. It was from the company president, Harris. The investigation into James was complete, as promised, and since he admitted to his criminal actions, the company president Harris himself had contacted the police. Needless to say, James was fired. Harris was committed to James's rehabilitation without severing a parent-child relationship, including monitoring James's actions in the future. Also, the company's performance had declined due to the deterioration of relationships with clients after our departure. Please consider coming back. Despite Harris's direct request, none of us nodded in agreement. Instead, we promised to cooperate in the form of a business partnership and help restore trust. We couldn't return, but we chose the best action we could take to repay the debt to the company we had served for many years. This business partnership was beneficial for both companies, with Harris's company gradually rebuilding relationships with clients and our new company gaining opportunities for new contracts, thereby further improving our performance. Until not so long ago, everyone was stressed from work, but now, they're all working with smiles on their faces. I'm certainly one of those people. Just then, Michael, about the upcoming contract. I can't help but smile when I see her working so briskly in front of me. We're at work now. Stop grinning. Ashley. No, now my partner Ashley scolds me sharply. Sorry, but you know, I say. I embrace Ashley in the office where it's just the two of us. Gently, as if handling something fragile, softly. I was just thinking about how happy I feel when I look at you, Ashley. Oh, you. Ashley laughs as if she's amused by my words. Are you happy too, Ashley? Of course. Ashley immediately answers my question, looking so adorable that I tighten my embrace just a little. She's out of work mode and smiling like she's at ease in my arms. That smile is so gentle and serene. It's a special smile she reserves just for me. I'm just an ordinary man with no wealth, power, or anything special. I was cowardly, afraid to stand up to those in power, but that day, I mustered all my courage for something I desperately wanted to protect. Thanks to that, I can now hold on to what's important to me. I want to protect her, who gives me so much courage and power, with all my might. I believe I can do anything to see Ashley smile.